Mike, I once read where every thought that we have has a corresponding emotion, and that our mind continually thinks, and our mind continually has different kinds of emotions because our mind has continual thoughts. And I would imagine that in our thinking process, we start to have little blocks, little wedges that sort of tailor our thinking and color our thinking. And today we have an individual.
I don't know if PTSD would come into that, where you might have a previous experience and that colors the rest of it.
It could very well be.
Or PTSD from previous lives.
Yeah. Well, we have an individual that has had a life study of working with human beings and helping to unblock areas that we need unblocking. And today we have Caroline Cousins. She's a mentor and inner transformation counselor who's going to be talking with us.
Coach,
who's going to be talking with us. So Caroline, welcome. I believe you're calling from England.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, boys. And nice to see you again. It's been a few months. And I'm calling from dear old Blighty, still in the European Union at the moment, at the time of recording. So, from chaotic England.
That's very good. Mike and I had a chance to look at your new website. And right beneath us in the information, we'll have your website listed. But it has a lot of great information, and it talks about some of the services and some of the programs, but it also talks a little bit about you, and it even has a 9+ minute video on how you got your start and some of the backgrounds. And you have a wealth of experiences in helping other individuals. You want to share some of the experiences that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, I started along this route about 23 years ago. So it's quite a long time to start. But I mean, I started then with mediumship. So I started developing a mediumship back then, back in the mid-90s. And that's really what started opening me out with that psychic side. And I'd always had that ability, but I never really used it, never really knew much about it then. So I started opening up much more as a medium, sitting in development circles. And then I started training at that time. I was working as a surveyor in London. And I just suddenly got an interest in reflexology. So again, working with the energy of, working with people's feet, a very ancient Egyptian form of therapy. So that sort of took me further down that kind of energetic route as well, working with the meridians there. And I did that for a while, and then eventually moved on a few years later into hypnotherapy. I trained in hypnotherapy. I trained in clinical hypnotherapy, transpersonal hypnotherapy, which very much engages the spirit. So we're looking at not just the mind, but also the spirit there as well. Past life regression, I trained in emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping, again, on the meridians. Theta healing, which is working with, again, it's working with the energetic side and the subconscious mind, but also working with higher aspects of ourselves to clear programs. Spiritual response therapy, which also works with our high self teams in order to clear programming at much higher levels of consciousness. And various other bits and pieces that I've done as well over that time. So I've been working with clients for about 22, 23 years, something like that. But I've also done a corporate job in the meantime until about 2004, when I started full time with my therapy, working, mentoring, what's eventually morphed into the mentoring. But it started out as hypnotherapy, and then gradually morphed as I gained experience, gained more tools in my tool bag, and now I work, rather than working as a hypnotherapist, rather than working as a theta healer, rather than working as an SRT practitioner, I combine all the tools. So I use them as my toolbox, and then I work with clients in a very individual way. So I'll pull on the mediumship, I'll pull on the psychic intuitive ability, I can access the Akashic records, I have that ability as well. I'll use the other tools, such as, the SRT tools or any other tools I have, or even the EFT to help clients. So it's about moving clients through blocks, through emotional blocks, through stuck energy, and helping them to sort of move forward, but also empowering them as well. So it's one of the things I'm keen on with client relationships is that they don't become codependent on me. I want to give them some of the tools as well. So in some of the sessions with them, I empower them to do clearing for themselves and to work on their own issues as well. So that they feel empowered and they're not dependent on somebody else all the time to do that for them, which is where the mentoring side kind of comes in with the coaching and the mentoring. I mean, the mentoring is very much about me using my experience, what I've gone through, what I've learned along the way to help them, and then also bringing in, the smaller part is the coaching, bringing in, maybe some tips and tools to help them along the way as well. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That's a big nutshell.
Yeah.
It is a big nut.
What are some of the common blocks that we as human beings put on ourselves?
Common block. I tell you what, no matter who you work with, you tend to get the same kind of root causes that come up. I mean, it's dependent on different people, and the majority of it will go back to childhood.
Oh.
It will, but occasionally, you'll get another lifetime that comes in, and very often you'll get an ancestral energy, ancestral blocks. So we inherit it. Those emotions through our genes as well, and we're not stuck with them. That's the important thing to recognize, that we may inherit the information in the genes, but we're not stuck with those emotional blocks. We can shift them, and I've personally, and with clients, had some very powerful releases from doing that. But typical root causes can be failure, feeling of failure, feeling that you felt you've let your parents down because you didn't get the attention that you needed as a child, or you've maybe from another lifetime something didn't work out correctly or as you wanted it, and you felt that you let your tribe down or you let your village down or in some way, and for some reason you've left that life and you haven't fully maybe learned something somewhere along the way, and the soul brings it in again to relearn it, if you like, learn it again until you've actually got it.
So how does it manifest itself in the current life? Is it like you continue trying to prove yourself, or what kind of block is it that they're experiencing at this point in time?
It can be, something like failure can be all sorts of things. Failure never comes in on its own. It always brings some other beliefs in with it that I've found. So it can manifest in all kinds of ways, and failure will come in normally when someone has a big root cause, and it tends to be a root cause failure running. Then they often have depression running at the same time without even realizing it. Sometimes there's usually a rejection of yourself running that comes in with failure, rejection of life, that whole what's the point energy, life is pointless, why bother going down that route because it's only going to end up in failure. That's almost always running with failure. So it never actually comes in on its own, and when you've got something like depression running with it, then the energy is going in rather than going out. So the energy can become very lethargic, very apathetic. There's a lot of apathy, a lot of lethargy around as well. So if someone's got that lethargy of I can't be bothered, or I'm procrastinating in some way, then they're usually running that what I call what's the point, and that means that what's the whole thought process is, what's the point of me going down that route, because it's only going to end up in failure, because at one moment in time it ended up in failure at that moment in time. So why bother now? So we know that root cause will be failure. But also, if they're rejecting themselves as well in it, there's no point me going down that route. So I might as well reject life, because I'm only going to fail anyway. So there's no point in committing to life. Therefore, again, this is where the lethargy will kick in. So if you know someone that's particularly lethargic or procrastinating a lot, then certainly they'll have failure energy running and all those other things that I've just listed.
That's interesting. It is interesting, at least in the United States. I think I read where divorces, we now are about 50%.
Yeah, in that area.
And I would imagine that, especially with young children going through that process, there's always that question of, was it because of me?
Yeah.
And I would imagine that you may find a lot of individuals having had that trauma to overcome.
Yeah, constantly. I mean, even with couples that stay together, I mean, there's often a lot of things because children are not getting the attention that they need, and it's through no fault of the parents. Maybe the parents are busy or whatever, and sometimes it could be something very little, very insignificant, but it's the way that we process that information. So it's not always what happens to us as children, but it's how we process that information. So you can have the twins that have identical experiences, but one will process the information slightly different, and that's where you get this emotional block or beliefs that come from that. But certainly, I mean, some of the clients that I've dealt with, one of the biggies is boarding school, and it comes up every time for clients with I've dealt with a lot of clients, worked with a lot of clients that have been sent to boarding school, a lot of them from a very young age. And if they haven't wished, if it hasn't been their choice, it's had quite a significant effect on their lives.
That's interesting. Well, you have several different programs that are available to individuals. You have the Essential program. You want to talk a little bit about what the Essential program is and how it helps individuals?
Yeah, one of the things I've done by setting up my new website, or the reason I've set up my new website, is really to kind of take it to the next level. Because at the moment, or what I have been doing, is doing a lot of one-off sessions with people, and that's fine. That's great, and we have great success in the sessions. But with the clients that I work with long term on a regular basis, I've seen huge changes. And it's much more rewarding for me. It's very rewarding for the client to work on a regular basis and watch them evolve. And those that I have worked long term with have evolved, and every aspect of their lives has totally changed. And it's, when we start getting with the subconscious mind, we start changing in the energies, everything begins to change. So one of the things I wanted to do was set up a new website that really tied people into programs. So they get a commitment from me, but they're also committing to their own self. Development is the wrong word, but it is a kind of self-development. It's they're growing, they're unfolding, and they're doing it under guidance, if you like, under that mentoring. So the Essential program ties in an individual for 6 months, and within that they'll have 8 one-to-one sessions, and they'll have 5 SRT clearings with that as well as unlimited support. And that's in 6 months, that gives a good amount of discussion time, shifting of emotion, shifting of blocks, clearing programs at a higher level that we can see over that 6 month period. We can, look at the goals that we want to achieve over that 6 month period, and see if we've, hopefully achieved what we needed to achieve. But what I haven't done deliberately in the programs, both the Essential and the Elite program, is I haven't put down a prescriptive thing of what we want to achieve. And that's because every single session I do with every single client is always different, because we don't know what life is going to bring to us tomorrow or the next day. And if we set off by saying, this is what we're going to work on, point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, in a very coaching structure, then we're not going to make the most of what's coming up in the person's energy. And we can have a really in-depth discussion and session on day one or day two, session one or session two, and then it shifts everything in the subconscious mind. So you can't go down a very prescriptive route. You have to go down with whatever comes up at that moment in time and work with it. And I recently learned that Michael Neal, very best-selling coach, works in the same way, which is very reassuring for me. He doesn't have anything prescriptive either. He just goes, you clear your mind, you work with the energy, and you work with whatever presents itself there and then. And so that's deliberate, why I haven't done anything prescriptive. We go with whatever it is that the client wants to work on at that moment in time, whilst keeping an overview of the goal. Now, the Elite program is taking it the next step further. We're working on a 12-month basis with the Elite program. But more than that, we're bringing in the astrological aspect with the Elite program. So the Elite program works in a similar way to the Essential. It's just for a longer period. There's more SRT, there's more one-to-one sessions. But we bring in my colleague, Patty Post, who's based in the Netherlands. She's a terrific astrologer. A brilliant astrologer, and she's got a very in-depth knowledge of psychology as well. And we bring in her skills as well to that Elite program. So we start off looking at the personal chart for that client, and we go into the details of the strengths, the weaknesses, what needs to be worked on, the direction as well. So we bring in an added dimension there with that Elite program. And what I am planning on doing in the next 3 months is bringing in more people into the Elite program, more options. I have some team members already lined up. We're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, so that we'll be able to offer even more options for the clients to buy into. But all energy-based, all linked again with fitness, nutrition as well, and some other interesting energetic stuff as well. And then I have the corporate program. And the corporate program is really going to be a bespoke program. So I've got a very corporate background before I went into all the energy work. And what I think is missing in a lot of the mentoring and the coaching that's out there now is the energetic side. And I want to make it a bit more mainstream rather than a bit new agey as it currently is. So it's combining the corporate skills that I have and my team have, but working in a very energetic way, but for the 21st century. So it's not Woodstock out there. Let's go and use smudge sticks everywhere. It's using energy work in a very intelligent way and a scientific way that can be accepted by the norm and brought into the corporate environment as well. So, and that would have to be discussed on a corporate company by company basis. But I've already done some work with companies over in the UK, and Patty already works with several companies in the Netherlands with her astrology. So companies are becoming more and more open to alternative ways of making their business work, making the staff happy, and working a lot more with reducing the stress, getting the best out of the client, getting the best out of the staff, and moving forward in the right way energetically for the future for the business. So it's interesting. It's beginning to unfold out there.
Yeah, I think so. Being part of the universities, we are seeing that corporations, businesses are very interested in keeping their staff healthy. Yeah. And oftentimes it's not a matter of sitting down and I want you to do this task and this task. It's really getting in touch with one's feelings. Yeah. And helping them to understand why the way they do things.
Now, are you helping the staff, or do you think the company has a block on itself?
Both, actually. Okay. It can be both. I mean, I've done, I've gone in and done both with companies. So I've gone in and worked with the individuals and the directors as well. But I've also done, used the spiritual response therapy system to clear the energies not just of the company. So when the company was founded, if you have an approximate date when the company is founded, then you can work with that with your teams in other dimensions to clear any programs or energy blocks that are associated with that company, with the name, with the setup. We treat it as a separate energy entity when we're doing a what I call an SRT clearing, a spiritual response therapy clearing. But also, it can sometimes be to do with the energy of the premises as well. So there's always that environmental aspect as well. And again, I can do and frequently do clear company premises as well with the SRT system, the spiritual response therapy system. So we're clearing the energetic blocks in where the company is located as well, and that can make it quite a big difference.
Sure.
Also,
it's interesting, on your website you have several of the prices of the programs, and I was just calculating the number of times that you're working with them, the other individuals, etc. It really comes down to you are providing quite a lot of services for the money that you're asking for. I think if I were to go to someone that would do a reading or hypnotherapy or various different things, it would be in excess of $250, $300.
Yeah.
But the way you have structured this with all the different services, etc., it's way less than that for the charges that you're doing.
Well, I think, it is an all-round service, and the other thing we have to balance is that over in the UK, actually, we charge a bit less over here than in America or in other parts of Europe, and it's getting a balance. It's getting a balance between the two, but it's also, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because I want to earn, like anybody else wants to earn a good salary, because I'd like to have certain things in my life. I like to enjoy this life, but I'm in it for the difference. I want to make the difference. I'm a classic Virgo. I'm here for service, and I want to make a difference in the world. And the more people that we can get these things out to, the more we make a difference in the world. And the job satisfaction for me is seeing the changes in people, because I know it works. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen huge changes in people, and I've experienced them myself. So I've changed completely from when I started, and it's more. It's more than money. It's good old-fashioned job satisfaction of seeing the changes for me. But it's a good service. It's an all-round service. So it's not just I'm not just working with the one-to-one sessions with clients. I'm also I'm using other tools to access other programs, other ways of unblocking the energy, because we have it all here. We have that abundance, we have that prosperity, we have excellent health, we have it all already. It's just we got all these little blocks and programs and energy things that are getting in the way, that are stopping us from enjoying a life of abundance and joy and good health and everything else. So it's just so rewarding when you see the differences, and it just makes it all worthwhile. And and if I was a multimillionaire, I would do it for free.
I understand, but on the same token, money is one of those energy sources that you have something, the individual needs something. Yeah. It's just an exchange. It's a way of saying both of us are getting something for doing this.
I totally agree. Money is just an exchange mechanism, but it's also something you have to value as well in order to bring more of it in. That's and you have to keep it moving. You have to keep it moving. It's just an energy flow. That's and so it's important to do that.
Yeah, I was just looking on your website. You also have some different blogs. One of them is the attitude of gratitude. And want to just share a paragraph of what that's about?
Well, it came out of a client session. Actually, I had not that long ago with a lovely client of mine, and we were discussing, because there's quite a trend at the moment for people to say, you know, just be grateful for everything, be grateful for this, that, you know, just be grateful for everything. And I've many times said to my clients, you know, start every day with being grateful for 10 things every day. You know, be grateful for 2 arms, 2 legs. Be grateful for a roof over your head, and so on. And then this client said to me, yeah, I am grateful. I'm grateful for such and such, but, and I said, whoa, you know, hang on a minute.
There's that proverbial but.
It has no conditions. It has no conditions. If you're grateful for something, but, then you're putting a condition on it. And I think the trap that many people fall into with gratitude, which is what I discuss in my blog, is that it becomes more of a mental process rather than the process from the heart. And it has to come from the heart. To me, and there's lots of different takes on gratitude, but if you just go through life saying, yeah, I'm grateful for this, yeah, I'm grateful for that, yeah, I'm grateful for that, it's empty. It's empty words. If you don't feel it, if you don't really feel that gratitude, and it's spontaneous, it's a spontaneous feeling of gratitude. So you get something that, you know, I've always wanted this mobile phone here, and it comes in as a gift, and it's a spontaneous thing straight away. Thank you, you know, thank you so much. It's got to come from the heart. You've got to feel it. Otherwise, you're just going through an empty process. And I fell into the trap that many coaches say of, you know, you be grateful for 10 things a day, 20 things a day, 50 things a day. And you can't put it in a formulaic way. You have to feel it spontaneously. Otherwise, it's empty.
Yeah, it's the same way with saying prayers like the Catholic Church, with the Rosary. You have to feel those prayers. It's just not a reciting. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but there is quite a trend out there at the moment, and it's great to have that trend, but it's empty unless you employ the heart.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're just going through the motions, which will do nothing. And it's kind of why people say, "Oh, the law of attraction doesn't work." Well, it's because you're not feeling it. You know, if you feel that gratitude, then you'll attract more in things to be grateful for. So that's kind of it's just a short blog, but it kind of just discusses that.
We have about 20 seconds. So would you like to tell your main philosophy in life now? What would you like to share with the audience? Then we have to leave.
Well, I just please pop along and have a look at my website. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm really happy to answer them by email. Also, pop into my YouTube channel, Caroline Cousins YouTube. So I put a lot of free tips and tools on my YouTube channel. I'm very active on Instagram every single day. I'm posting little bits of mentoring and stuff on there. So if you have any questions at all, please don't be afraid to contact me. I'm very happy to answer any questions and help where I can.
Hey, we're talking with Caroline Cousins, mentor and transformational coach. It's always been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you so much. Lovely to see you guys again.
And thank you, audience, for watching, and we'll see you next time.